Okay, here we go. How we doing? Let's see. YouTube's waking up. Is Rockfin waking up? You know me, I gotta wait for it. I gotta just make sure it's there. Boom. Here we are. Here we are. Rockfin's awake. Oh, Rockfin beat YouTube. Rockfin beat YouTube. YouTube's here. What's up, YouTube? Good to see you. Rockfin, good to see you. Rockfin was first. Well, Twitter was first. Twitter's always first. But Rockfin was second. And YouTube, you were third. What's up, everybody? Good afternoon, good morning, good evening. Good to see everybody. I was actually not going to do a stream today originally, and I was going to make the announcement, and it's because I'm busy. I got the stuff going on with my movie. Basically, we're putting the finishing touches on the trailer, and that was going to occupy me today. And it still is occupying me a lot today, along with other things. So there's a lot on the plate today. So I was not going to do a stream, but I wanted to do a stream because of some breaking things that happened in the news. So it's just me. Today might be a little bit of a shorter episode as I adjust my knee. But first of all, shout out to everyone who makes this show possible. Our friends over at Indie Left. Indie Left is the only place to find all the content creators and streamers you know and love. They curate a list. They update it twice a day to find out everything they got going on. To subscribe to their Discord, check them out at independentleft.media. So, again, wasn't going to do an episode today. I'm doing one. Why? Well, because we got some news on the union front when it comes to Amazon, and I didn't want to miss out on this. I know there's a lot going on today. There's the special election out in Cleveland. So I don't know how much coverage this is going to get. So I wanted to make sure I talked about it, especially since we covered this the first time on the show. Now, this takes us to Bessemer, Alabama, where workers at an Amazon warehouse voted to unionize. That vote did fail, but there was a lot of shadiness that went on. Now, we covered it on this show, and here's what I did just as a fun little mental exercise. I did not go and revisit the episode that we did on this union. I did not go and revisit it. But what I'm going to do instead is off the top of my head. Now, this vote happened a little while ago. I want to say it's been a few months. Off the top of my head, and my short term is not crushing it, folks, I'm going to remember all that I can around this union vote and what Amazon did. So this is just off the top of my head, what I remember and all the things they did. Okay, the big thing that they did, this was the vote in the Bessemer warehouse amidst Amazon workers to unionize. Amazon, the company, put a mailbox right in the middle of the warehouse, essentially, that the Amazon employees had access to. And by employees, I mean the higher ups who were going to be tallying the votes. And people had to place their votes there. Pretty sure there was a camera nearby. Now, the labor board, the NLRB, said not to do this. They said, don't do this. This is not above board. This is intimidating your workers. This is kind of unethical that you just have this access to this and people are just dropping it there and it's right in the middle of the workplace. People may feel intimidated. They may be nervous about how they're going to vote, and you're going to know, don't do this. Amazon said, pound salt. We're doing it anyway. So that's a big thing. Mailbox right in the middle of the workplace. Now, when they would have their meetings, now keep in mind, throughout the warehouse, there was anti-union literature everywhere. Plastered on the walls, plastered everywhere. Now, the company has the right to do that. They can do that. There's not much you can do about it. But when they would have meetings, anyone who asked a pro-union question, their information was taken. People who didn't ask pro-union questions, no big deal. If someone asked a pro-union question, their information was taken. That's worker intimidation, folks. That's exactly what that is. Now, the company has all these advantages to spread anti-union messaging everywhere. Well, where does the pro-union messaging happen? Well, amidst the workers. What's a place where the workers were really able to pass out literature and try to mobilize their fellow workers? Well, going into the warehouse, there are stoplights. One of the things pro-union workers would do is while people were stopped at the stoplights waiting to go into work, they would hand them literature and talk to them. Amazon removed those traffic lights. Amazon coordinated with, I guess, the city, I'm assuming, and got these traffic lights taken out so that workers couldn't talk to fellow workers. So just to reiterate here, mailbox right in the middle of the warehouse that a labor board decided that's totally unethical. You shouldn't do that. They did it anyway. They didn't care. Um, but which, by the way, after they did that, all of a sudden, about 50% of all the no votes randomly came in like one day. Randomly on like one day, about half of all the no votes just arrived all of a sudden. Anyone who asked a pro-union question, their information was taken down. They took out the traffic lights so that pro-union workers cannot talk to fellow workers. Now, why was that in particular important? Not only was that stopping them from getting information to their fellow workers, it was also accomplishing something else. See, a reality here in the United States is that for the past 50 years, there has been a very concentrating, defanging effort of unions in the United States. That's why we have very low union participation in the United States. And there are some unions in the United States that aren't so great. Not every union in the United States is great. That's the sad reality. And some of them, they look out for the company first and the workers second. Does that mean there aren't still great unions in the United States? Nope, there totally are. There are some great unions in the United States still, despite all this. However, some of them aren't. So there's a chance you might have had some workers, maybe they didn't have a positive experience with the union. Maybe they had a negative one because they were in a union that wasn't actually looking out for them. It happens. So maybe they're thinking, gee, I have negative experiences with unions. I want to be treated better by my employer, but my experience with unions is negative. That person's not going to be convinced unless they have a conversation with their fellow workers and their fellow workers say, hey, look, I know what you mean, but here's the deal. This is more than just us unionizing. This is us building the union for us. For 50 years, they've defanged unions in this country. It's time for us to build the new union and kind of reinvent what it means for us to have a union. We are building our union. That's what this is for. So we're going to be a good one. That's what people need to hear. And that's what Amazon did everything in their power to stop. Everything in their power to stop. So those are all the things just off the top of my memory that Amazon did to try to mess with their union vote. Well, check this out. This is a Google search because shockingly, the corporate media is actually covering this. Check out this Google search. Look at this. Amazon warehouse voters in Alabama may get a second vote. That's from NPR. New York Times, Amazon union voted Alabama warehouse should be redone, official says. Washington Post, Amazon union election results could be tossed following NLRB recommendation. So shockingly, the corporate media has actually given this a little bit of attention, which I'm thrilled to see. And well, let's read on. Here's how NPR is covering it. We'll go there to nice, polite Republicans. Let's see what they're saying. Amazon warehouse workers in Alabama may get to vote again on the union. Alabama warehouse workers in Alabama may get a second chance to vote on whether to form the company's first unionized warehouse in the United States. A federal label. They work for the record label. A federal labor official, according to NPR, has found that Amazon's anti-union tactics tainted this spring's election sufficiently to scrap its results. That's putting it very gently. Their anti-union tactics, their blatant suppression of any pro-union messaging and intimidation of workers and all the things they did that thumbed its nose in all of the recommendations from the labor board. Anti-union tactics tainted this spring's election sufficiently to scrap its results, according to the union that sought to represent the workers. The official is recommending a do-over of the unionization vote, the union said in a release. Amazon is expected to challenge the recommendation, of course, which has not been released publicly yet. A regional director from the NLRB, which stands for the National Labor Relations Board, is expected to rule within weeks on whether to schedule a new election. So there you go. There's an update. And I really wanted to not stop today not go through today without talking about that. And when that happened, I decided, all right, I got to do a show today. I wasn't going to do a show. But I decided to do one last minute because I don't know how much coverage that's going to get. I hope a lot, and I was pleasantly surprised to see that a Google search showed a lot of the corporate media covering it. I was pleasantly surprised by that. But hopefully it leads to another vote. And hopefully they don't get to do the same thing. It was more than just putting the mailbox. It was all the other things I mentioned too. Now, the NLRB did do a video highlighting all these things. But I sincerely hope that they get another vote. And I sincerely hope for all the workers in that warehouse, they see how hard their employer is trying to suppress their fellow workers. They're suppressing your fellow workers. See, in a place like a warehouse or actually scratch that, in any place, like any place of employment, it's important that workers talk. It's important that workers exchange ideas and information. It's important that workers do what they can to have each other's backs. Why? Because when you talk, you find out things like, oh, wait a second. This employee is getting paid more than this other employee for doing the same job. A lot of times it's this man is getting paid more than this woman for doing the same job. This person is, the newer hirees are getting paid less money than everybody else. It's important to find out those things. It's important to find out when the employer is messing with you, the worker. And that's what happens when workers talk to each other. And that's what would happen if workers talk to each other about a union. And they'd be able to convince other workers that, hey, the union's a good idea because we're building it for us. And we're going to have representation for us. We're not going to have the company appoint some puppet to actually not go in favor of our interests. So that's what's at stake here. And I sincerely hope that they get another stab at this, that they get a second vote. And I sincerely hope they win. I mean, it's not guaranteed that they'll win. The anti-union propaganda is very thick. And it's not just Amazon that does that. Companies all around the United States do that. They show you anti-union videos the second you're hired. They have anti-union information in your break room, in your bathrooms, everywhere. But hopefully, if they get another shot at this, there's not going to be a mailbox right in the middle of the frickin' workspace. There's going to be a little more above board transparency between employer and the people voting, the workers. It's not going to be, hey, it's right in the middle. Here's a bunch of cameras. We collect it. So we're going to know exactly who you are. We're making it out like it's anonymous, but in reality, we know exactly who you are, and we're going to be able to find out how you vote should we choose to. So people are going to be scared to vote yes. That's what Amazon did the first time. So there you go. So, and guys, again, to reiterate, last minute episode today, I was going to try to focus on finishing up some things on my movie trailer that is going to be out very soon. And I cannot wait for all of you to see it. On a side note, I cannot wait. By the way, I want to do your podcast. Are you watching? Do you have a podcast? I want to do it because I want to get the word out on this movie big time. So, sign me up. Let me see what you guys are saying. And then we're going to dismount. Short episode today, folks. Workers pay unknown space pioneer. How are you? Good to see you. I hope you are well. Workers pay dues to unions that don't do what they are there for, giving a bad name to unions in general. Mutual aid to teach union leadership is needed. I feel you. That does happen. Absolutely. And it's not even, it's not all unions, but it is some unions. And again, I think it goes into, I think it goes, teaching is part of it. Like, I agree with you. But I think it also goes into just systemic corruption, really. I mean, they're appointing people to these unions in these leadership positions who are going to look out for the company first and the union second. So, really, in some cases, these unions aren't really unions at all. They're just kind of PR puppets for the employer. That does happen. That's a reality. Again, that's not, there's still some great unions in the United States despite that. There really are. But there's some not so great ones too. And they give unions in general a bad name. And that's another thing we got to combat. No, we got to remake the unions. We got to foster the good ones and make the new ones for a new chapter in unions in this country. So I am rooting for you in Bessemer, Alabama. I am rooting for you big time. And shout out to everybody who covered this story the first time, for all the boots on the ground, for all the people who went to Bessemer, and for the labor board for shining a light on what was going on and the deceptive things Amazon was doing. And hopefully this election will get redone. And thank you guys for tuning in. And thank you, Unknown Space Pioneer, for the Super Chat contribution. And yeah, wanted to cover that today. I know it's a short episode, but I wanted to cover that today. I was originally not going to do an episode, but then when this happened, I was like, I got to talk about this today. So, folks, tour dates, I got them. Go to ronplacone.com for tickets, and do not wait. Grab them now. Where are we going? Well, it starts in September, and we're going to San Francisco, Sacramento, Los Angeles. We're going to Tempe, Tucson, Detroit, Cleveland, Pittsburgh, Philly, New York, DC, Asheville, North Carolina, Jacksonville, Gainesville, Orlando, Miami, Tampa, Nashville, Louisville, Indianapolis, Chicago, Minneapolis, Madison. Do not wait. Get your tickets at ronplacone.com. ronplacone.com. Thank you so much, Unknown Space Pioneer, for the super chat. You help keep this show on the air. Been a short episode today, but I had to get this off my chest. I stand with the unions. I stand with the workers. Shout out to everyone in Bessemer. I hope they get another shot at this. Peace, love, and a general strike. Lucy says meow. I say peace. Peace.